Hello, my name is Rashawn Harvey, and I'm the head football coach at Kearney Catholic High School in Kearney, Nebraska. My goal here today is to share a little bit about our color codes and React offensive risk coach system, how we've implemented and how it's impacted our young men for success in the game of football. A little bit about me, born and raised in Stuart, Florida. Went to Martin County High School down in Stuart, Florida. Attended the University of Nebraska at Kearney on an athletic scholarship, played some football there for the Lopers. Was recruited to be a guard, ended up playing a little bit of guard and center. When my playing days were over, got my degree in middle grades education, science and social sciences, and went back also and earned a master's in instructional technology. Out of college, I went and taught at Kearney Catholic High School. That's the only place I've actually taught high school in the middle school area. That is specific for me, but it's a school that's from grade 6 through 12, and so I specifically taught in the middle school. So that's been my entire coaching career at one stop. Taught for 6 years at Kearney Catholic High School. Ended up moving on from there and going back to my college alma mater, and that's the University of Nebraska at Kearney, and working for the TRIO Student Support Services program. TRIO Student Support Services is a federal grant where we work with students that are actually first-generation college students and or have a documented disability and or if they meet federal income guidelines. And I currently serve as the assistant director for the TRIO Student Support Services program at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. So in my mind, I get the pleasure of working with students at the high school level by going into Kearney Catholic High School and being the head football coach there at this time, and also working with college students in the town of Kearney, Nebraska. So it's a blessing for me because, again, football was a blessing for me, got me out of my environment in Stuart, Florida, to go on and get a college degree and a master's degree. And now I coach football, and I'm very proud of that and excited about coaching football and changing the lives of young men. Okay. So my coaching experience, assistant coach at Kearney Catholic, again, that's been my only stop, 11 years as an assistant. I've coached offensive line, defensive line, and quarterbacks. I've been the OC 7 of my 11 years as an assistant. As the head coach, I'm entering my 7th year as the head coach going into the 2022 season. And so I've been in 7 years. I'll be a head coach and the OC at Kearney Catholic High School. As an assistant coach, my record as assistant coach, 52-21. So we won 71% of our games as the assistant and OC. 6 playoff appearances, 2 district championships, 2 state semifinals, and 1 state runner-up. As the head coach and OC, through 6 years, we're 48-16. We've won 75% of our games, 1 losing season, 5 playoff appearances, 3 district championships, and 3 state semifinals. Our coaching staff, Mike Pacheco, Rick Moses, Dave Colling, Paul Rumgart, Matt Johnson, Jesse Spangler, Ozzie Rodriguez, Lance Fox, and myself. Unique thing about our program, we only have one of all these coaches, only one of those coaches is in the building. So it takes a lot of collaboration, a lot of scheduling for us to be impactful with our young men by getting ourselves in the building throughout the day in the weight room. And so our young men are seeing at least several of our coaches on a daily basis, with us not all being in the building. But great thing is our administration wants us there, and we all have access to the building at any time and access to get around our young men in any capacity that we need. A little bit about our offensive philosophy. What is it that we're trying to truly achieve as an offense? Again, you can look at the bullet points there. Attack the weakness of the defensive scheme itself and specific players. Attack with our foot on the pedal. We want to run the ball, the pass. If you know anything about our program, people perceive that we want to throw it around all the time, but we're like most. We want to we want to run the football. Okay, we understand being in Nebraska, cold weather place at times. We got to be able to run the football. We rely on our quick passing game also. In our quarterback, we're in the gun, and we want to be about 60-40 run or pass every game. Our philosophy is we're going to take what you give us, and we've done a pretty good job of that over the years with our system. Additionally, we were built on three different principles: multiplicity, moving the chains, and the relentless attack. And so again, we've got bullet points there for each and every one of those. But that's what we abide by each and every game. That's what our young men know that we want to do. We want to get in multiple formation, multiple personnel groupings. Obviously, like every offense, we want to move the chains, and we want to be relentless with our attack offensively. So let's get right into our color codes and React offensive risk coach system. How did it come about? You know, the E plus R equals O. We're an R factor team in our system for our entire team. So what was the event? Being a small school where players must play on both sides of the ball, we were having challenges with players thinking too much rather than reacting on both sides of the ball. And this was impacting our practice and game performance overall. And so we weren't very good because, again, you know, we've got young men that are, again, like we said, playing on both sides of the ball. We're a small school here in Nebraska. We bounce between C1 and C2 classification. In the state of Nebraska, it goes Class A, B, C1, C2, and then D is when you get down to the 8-man range. So we're one of those smaller schools here in the state of Nebraska. So again, what was our response? So we started utilizing the risk coach to call plays so players wouldn't have to think as much. After one season with the risk coach, we added colors and numbers to the risk coach. Additionally, we started developing and applying one-word code names into our offense. Our players liked this new system as it took a lot of the thinking about the play out of the equation and resulted in more reaction from our players. And so we wanted to react more rather than thinking a lot. You know, I jokingly say what one of my college coaches told me one time, and he goes, "Son, we give you a scholarship to react, not to think." And so, you know, that's kind of what we kind of looked at. We want our kids to react more rather than spending too much time thinking. So then what was the outcome? A more effective and efficient offense for us. Players now play fast, think less, and react faster. Our offense morphed into a risk coach system with colors and codes. The system relates to the players and allows players input, allows the offense to put pressure on the defense, plus the capability to adjust to defensive formations and schemes with codes to react to defensive alignment. So we never feel we're at a disadvantage with what we do in our system that we have. We can adjust to about any and everything that teams throw at us. For example, we had a team this season, the 2021 season, a team that traditionally plays a 30 front, 3-man front. They came out and played a 40. And so our risk coach was designed at that time for that game to what they shown all the time in the years that we played them was a 30 front. And so basically we had to abandon that, and we went totally to our code system throughout that game, and we got the victory in that game. So, and our players didn't even flinch. They noticed that the team was in a 40 front, and they looked over at me and said, they put the 4 up, "Hey, coach, they're in the 40," and then we just went totally off our code system. Now, there are some things within our risk coach system that we can adjust on the fly with formations and some things that we do with it. So again, back to the event, you know, why did we what was a part of the process to think, why did we need to go to something like a risk coach that had colors and codes so our kids could react faster? You know, we looked at, you know, what they experience daily as a filter. These kids are putting life into their filter, you know, home life, school life, social life. They're putting that into their filter. They got academics with the school aspect. They're putting in their filter. And here we are throwing in defense and offense and special teams and expecting them to learn each and every aspect, that know it up and down. You know, was that a model of success for our kids to have success in the game of football? And so we didn't think so. That's why we decided to take a little bit of the thinking out and basically tell our kids what to do. So we kind of reduced the amount of knowledge that they have to necessarily learn and know up and down, offense, defensively, and special teams wise. We just put it in the format that they can react faster. Again, with the response, we went with the risk coach. We love the Under Armour risk coach. Allows us to put more plays on our wristbands. It gives more freedom for us throughout a game. And so again, here's an example of one of our sheets here. And so here's our red sheet for us in a certain week. So we put 19 plays on there. Again, a column has the formation, and one column has the actual play for our young men. So we'll get into how we call those out here pretty soon. Excuse me, jumped ahead a slide there. But we go into a game with 3 colors. And so it's 3 wristband sheets that we have. We go in and play with red plays, green plays, and black plays. So we have the ability to go into a game with 57 different offensive plays if we wanted to. We don't necessarily do that, but we have that capability. We use these at practice also. So again, we put on the wristband sheets for practice, what we're going to run in the game, obviously that week, like any team out there that does it to prepare for the game. So basically, here's again another wristband sheet. We actually create 2 wristband sheets, one for our skill players, one for our offensive line. And so again, here's a red one, the first column there outside of the number. So we've got numbers 1 through 19. Then we have the formation and the motion on one side, and then we also have the actual play. As you look at the play itself, you can see there's some different codes in there for us. Obviously, in every offense, every word has different meanings, however you guys design your offense. But everything on that far right column has value and has meaning within our offense. And we coach our young men in the off season, in the summer, on how you read that, especially our incoming freshmen, so they get used to what we do. But then that's how our kids look at ours. So that's our skill players. Then our offensive linemen get a totally different wristband sheet. Okay, obviously they get the number, they get the formation, motion that's there, and they also get the play. For our pass protection, we have basically just 3 pass protections. We go quick pass, drop back, and then we have sprint protection. And so we don't lay everything out there on that offensive play. They just need to know, meaning the offensive line, they just need to know the pass protection on any pass play for us. So we make it stand out. It's blue. They know we're going to the air on that. And so again, the run plays are there, and they know what the meanings of those run plays are. When we call in our plays, and so when we call in our play, we got hand signals also for every formation, but then we can just yell out, for instance, on their wristband, we'll yell out green 8, red 12, black 3, and the young men have to echo it down the line. So whoever hears it closer to the sideline, we expect them to echo that all the way across the field to everyone on their team. And so we practice that in the off season, we practice it in the summer. And again, as the season is going also, we have to take days where we go back and say, hey, we got to be great with communicating what is the call. Red 11, red 8, green 8, black 3. And we also have our codes, so we just yell those in, tuna, jumbo, and our young men echo those across the formation. So here's an example of a sheet that we give our young men. Obviously, I've blacked out there, what we actually have for our codes, but we are basically a zone team when it comes to our run game. We're inside zone, we're mid zone, we're outside zone. Then we have some gap scheme stuff also, and then we have some perimeter runs. So our young men get this sheet every year. We go through this so they know what our codes are, and they know which defense that we're primarily looking to run those against, a 30 or 40 front. That's what we primarily see in our program. So our young men will get this as a study sheet also to help them to learn what we do. We think this, again, helps with the reaction. They're not thinking as much. They're able to just react to the call that we send in, the code that we send in. Here's one for our pass game. Obviously, I blacked out the name of the code over there, but then they get, when we're in 2x2, 3x1, 3x2, what does it equate to? Okay, so we've got everything there for our young men to look at. And again, the outcome for us, we want to have a more effective and efficient offense. Players now play fast, they think less, react faster, okay, and then it's a blessing for us. It takes so much pressure off our young men because they're not thinking as much, they're reacting. And the outcome stats wise. Stats aren't everything, but I know some people like to see stats. So in our program, here's our stats for all over the years since 2009 when we implemented and started our wristband wrist coach system, color codes, and React with our Under Armour wrist coach. And so again, you can look at the production throughout the years. The past 2 years, 2020 and 2021, we've been in the state semifinals back-to-back years. 2011, we were in the state championship game. 2014 was another year that we were in the state semis, but we've had great production with our system. Again, it allows our young men to stop thinking as much and just react. Again, like everybody else, they got to put a lot of work in the off season and learning what we do. But once they get it down, it's just second nature to those guys. And so they love it. It's easy for us to implement. Again, we get different varieties of tempos. Again, we won't go into all that. But my goal here today was just to share a little bit about what we do, not to get too in depth. But if anybody has any questions about what we do and how we do it, again, Rashawn Harvey, Kearney Catholic Football. There's my email address there that you can reach out to me at RashawnHarveyFootball@gmail.com. There's my Twitter handle there also. But if anybody has any questions or interested in what we do, we'd love to talk football. All right. Thank you guys for listening and have a great day.